So a question I get asked all the time is, what air compressor should I buy? Well, I just picked up 6 different units, some of the most common ones that I've seen, and we're gonna test them side by side, test the performance levels, the loudness, talk about price and all the specs. Stay tuned, guys, this is gonna be a good one. To start off, guys, we've got the Kobalt 26 gallon. This is their Quiet Air Compressor. We have the Rigid 4.5 gallon. They advertise this as quiet, but it's definitely not as quiet as the others. We'll get into that. We have the Husky 20 gallon, as well as the Husky 4.5 gallon. Then we have the Fortress 26 gallon from Harbor Freight. And then finally, we have the Vevor 13 gallon that you can get on Amazon. Now, I've been using 3 of these in my personal daily life and business. One of them I use in my mobile units. That's the Rigid 4.5 gallon. One I use here in my home garage setup. That's the Kobalt 26. And then at my shop, I was using the smaller Husky 4.5 gallon. But I wanted to find out which one really is the best. So I chose these 6 because these are the most common ones that I've come across and that people seem to use. So let's go ahead and test these out and see which one is the best choice. Now, in order to test these, we're gonna do a few different things. We're definitely gonna be doing a decibel test to see which one is the quietest, which one's the loudest, all that kind of good stuff, and comparing them side by side. Now, on top of that, we wanna really focus in and see the performance of these things, right? So I have 3 different tools that we're gonna be testing. One is a 6 CFM unit at 90 PSI. That's the air consumption that is required to run the tool. 6 CFM at 90, then we also have a 5 CFM at 90, and then a 4 CFM at 90. We're gonna run those, see how long it takes for these things to drain down. And the way I'm gonna be doing that test, I'm gonna let the pressure build all the way up in the tank. Then I'm gonna set the regulator on the tank down to 90 PSI for the tool. I'm gonna purge some of the air out, let it build back up so that it's ready to go. Then we're just gonna continually start it, time it, and see how long it takes till it gets down to 50 PSI and then drops below. That's where we're gonna cut it off and set the time. But before we jump into those tests, we're gonna check these things out one by one, go over the specs, and see kind of where they sit in the lineup. So we're gonna go ahead and start off by size. So we're gonna start off with the smallest one here. This is the 4.5 gallon Husky. This thing is rated at 65 decibels. It is rated at 3 CFM at 90 PSI. It has a 1.4 horsepower motor and a max PSI operation of 175 PSI. As you can see, it does have 2 outlets here, so you can run 2 hoses at the same time. Really nice construction. So this actually, you can open this up and this collapses down, so you have a really nice small footprint, but it's also really nice to move around. Just little feet on the front, and then around the back, we have some just nice rubberized wheels. And this little guy comes in at a price tag of $249. So let's go ahead and jump into the test and see how it performs. Okay, so let's go ahead and talk about the performance of the Husky 4.5 gallon. Now with the 6 CFM tool, we got 25 seconds of runtime before it dropped down to that 50 PSI. With the 5 CFM tool, we got to 30 seconds. And with the 4 CFM tool, we got to 37 seconds of runtime. And that was all operating at 7.32 amps and 827 watts. Now from there, we're going to the next one, guys. And again, this is another 4.5 gallon unit. But this one, instead of being rated at that 3.0 CFM, this is the Rigid. And this one comes in at 5.1 CFM at 90 PSI. This thing is listed at 77 decibels and a 1.6 horsepower motor with a max PSI of 200. Now, when we talk about the performance levels on this, same exact test, guys. With the 6 CFM unit, we got 35 seconds of runtime. With the 5 CFM unit, we got 38 seconds. And with the 4, we got 1 minute and 7 seconds of runtime. Again, this thing was operating at 12.71 amps and 1,394 watts. And this unit retails for $349, so $100 more than the Husky in the same size. But as you can see, the performance is quite a bit larger. However, it is a lot noisier, so it's really kind of a toss-up on which one you would get. For me personally, for my business, I've been running this Rigid in my vans, and it does the job perfectly fine for what I need. Next up on the list, guys, is the Vevor 13 gallon. So this thing actually retails at different prices. On Vevor's website, you can get it for $229 or on Amazon for $269. I'll have links for both down in the description for you. Just like both the other units, it has 2 outlet valves. So you can run 2 different hoses on it. This one does have nice wheels on it, little rubberized wheels, hard rubber, but still rubber, versus that Rigid has nothing. So that one, you're gonna wanna just keep stationary because it isn't light, and there are no wheels on that. So Back to the Vevor unit. 13 gallons, yeah, 229 to 269. This thing is advertised at 66 decibels, 4.6 CFM at 90 PSI, and a 2 horsepower motor with 125 PSI max. Performance of this thing, at the 6 CFM, we got 45 seconds of runtime. At the 5 CFM, 46 seconds of runtime, so it was basically the same there. But when we went over to the 4 CFM unit, we got 1 minute and 13 seconds out of that. So we're increasing our performance, and again, this thing's at a phenomenal price. It's also a lower profile unit, and in order to get those numbers, this thing was operating at 13.27 amps and 1,453 watts. All right, the next size up is the Husky. This is a 20-gallon unit. This thing has a max PSI of 165, 1.5 horsepower motor, 4 CFM at 90 PSI. Again, 20-gallon size. Really nice wheels on this thing as well. Just nice, large, oversized wheels, and then just feet up front, but it is nice and easy to move around. And the retail price on this guy is $349 at your local Home Depot. They also advertise this as a 73 decibel unit, so very quiet for the size. When we are operating this though, with the 6 CFM, we actually got 2 minutes and 35 seconds of runtime. With the 5 CFM, 2 minutes, 45 seconds. And with the 4 CFM, 4 minutes and 1 second. So plenty of power here for pretty much anything you need around the home. I mean, I don't know what else you'd be doing where you need much more than that. I'm using a impact, that's the 6 CFM tool, and then a cutoff wheel, that's the 5 CFM tool, and then the last thing is just an air tool that's listed at 4. All right, now next up, guys, we have 2 26-gallon units. One of them is gonna be the Fortress. Again, Harbor Freight has 2 of these in the 26-gallon size, but this is the 175 PSI 26-gallon size. Really nice wheels on this thing. Feels a little more rubberized and nicer than the other units. And then just feet around the front, other side. Again, 2 outlets, just like all the other units. You can see here, 26 gallons, 175 PSI max, 4.5 CFM at 90 PSI, 1.7 horsepower motor, and this thing is advertised at 69 decibels. So really, really nice construction unit. I was actually surprised. It's, I would say, probably the nicest kind of build quality just from using it this little bit of time. It's really, really nice. But it's also the most expensive unit, coming in at $399. Now, it's not exceptionally expensive, right? It's about $50 more than most of these. So nothing crazy, and the performance is also the highest. So really, really good unit here. I like this thing a lot. Let's go over the performance numbers really quickly. So for the 6 CFM unit, we got 2 minutes and 39 seconds of runtime. The 5 CFM, 2 minutes, 39 seconds also. I got the same numbers there. And then on the 4 CFM, the blower tool, 5 minutes and 3 seconds. Phenomenal numbers, guys. Really, really good unit. Now to get those numbers, guys, the really impressive numbers that we got from this Fortress, it was operating at 1,430 watts, 12.14 amps. That was the max. Last one up though is the Kobalt 26 gallon, which is right over here. Really nice color. Like you can see, all the other ones are very, very similar in color, except for that ridge is bright orange, but the other ones are all the same. The Kobalt, on the other hand, is a nice black colorway with a nice bright blue. That's actually why I got this thing. It matches my setup really, really well. I have black cabinets and blue hose reels, so that's why I personally went with this one. Now, similar to the one from Harbor Freight, this is a 26-gallon unit. Also nice rubberized wheels. Everything's really, really good on this thing. You also get the 2 outlet valves, just like the other one. This one is listed at 70 decibels for the noise level. We got 4.5 CFM at 90 PSI, a 1.8 horsepower motor, and a 150 PSI max. When we're using the 6 CFM unit, 2 minutes and 15 seconds. The 5 CFM unit, I don't know if I just messed up here, but I got 2 minutes and 10 seconds. And then for the 4 CFM, 4 minutes and 31 seconds. Again, this one comes in at $379. And in order to get those numbers, the unit was pulling 1,466 watts at 12.79 amps. Now let's go ahead and jump outside and test the actual loudness, decibel levels of these units. All right, guys, so for this portion of the video, I hope you can hear me okay. Normally I use a little lapel mic, but because I want the distance to be the same so you guys can hear it from the same distance across the board, I have a shotgun mic hooked up to the camera. So we're doing it that way. I've got my tape measure laid out. We're at 30 feet. So we're gonna take measurements right up at the machine, 15 feet out, and then 30 feet out. Again, I'm just going to be using the decibel meter on my iPhone. I know this isn't the most accurate thing. You have to calibrate a normal decibel meter and all that kind of good stuff. So I'm not expecting them to get the exact ratings that are listed. And again, I don't know what distance they measure those at. However, this will give us a true comparison between these units to see which one's the quietest of the bunch. So again, guys, I've been using the Kobalt in my shop, home shop. I've been using the Rigid in my work trucks, and then I've been using the small Husky at my shop at my normal shop. The Husky, in my opinion, doesn't have enough power. The Rigid is quite loud, even though it states like 70% quieter or something like that. It's quite loud. The Kobalt is a good mix between the two, but let's see real life right now which one's the quietest. So I have an extension cord that I'm gonna be running. I'm gonna clip this so it's one after another for you guys so you can really see. And then we will see exactly where the numbers lay. All right, so here we are, decibel meter. I'm gonna stop talking, let you guys see just the ambient noise. Got some frogs croaking in the background. I don't know if you can hear that, but about 45. So we're gonna start off the first one. I'm just gonna work from left to right. We're gonna start with the Vevor. Sorry if you can't hear that. I'm not used to not being able to turn away from the camera and talk because of the microphone. But we have the Vevor, the Kobalt, the Rigid, the Fortress from Harbor Freight, the small Husky from Home Depot, and then the larger Husky from Home Depot. So let's do this. I'm just gonna report these to you. This is probably too far for you to see. I'm gonna turn it on. I've never turned this thing on, guys. I do not know what this thing sounds like. I'm very, very, very pleasantly surprised. That sounds very quiet. So 77 at the unit. I'm a foot away. We're gonna go ahead and go to 15 feet, averaging out at 68 decibels. And then at 30 feet, which is right here with you guys, so you can see, hopefully, 61 decibels. Very good. Let me go ahead and shut that one off and move over to the next one. Averaging 81 decibels, 15 feet, holding at 67 decibels, and at 30 feet, 63 decibels is what we're gonna give it. It's starting to rain on me. Hopefully I don't have to take a break. I don't want my camera to get all wet, but let's keep going for now. All right, guys, next up, we're doing the Rigid unit. This thing's absolutely fantastic, tons of power, but it is quite loud. I'm gonna go ahead and fire it on for you. 88 decibels, 77 decibels. We'll give it 70 decibels. Wow. That's quiet. All right, a foot away, 75 decibels. 63 average. Bouncing around about, but the average on there was showing 57 decibels. I'm shocked. That's very, very quiet. Foot away. Averaging 68 decibels at a foot away. An average of 58 decibels, and at 30 feet, 56 decibels average at 30 feet. About a foot away. 76 decibels, 64 decibels, and at 30 feet, averaging 60 decibels. Really bouncing around, but the average did show 60, so that's what we're giving it. All right, guys, so there you have it. There's 6 options for you, varying price points ranging from $230 up to $400. What are my recommendations? My recommendation is get the one that suits you best. You may only need a little bit of CFM, a little bit of PSI. You don't need to go crazy with it. You want a small footprint and you want it to be extremely quiet, then the Husky 4.5 is your choice. If you're a mobile detailer like me and you're limited on space, like I work out of a truck, but I like the lower profile fit, or if you're working out of a car or something like that, the Rigid 4.5 is gonna be your choice. Yes, it is significantly louder, but it's gonna get the job done really, really well. It's gonna have all the performance you need for your detailing business or around the garage, really. Along with that one, if you have a little bit more space, man, the Vevor is a fantastic little unit. It got good numbers, 13 gallons, so you have more capacity. It was nice and quiet, and the best bang for buck here, guys, $229 on Vevor's website. So again, I have no issues with this one. I think it performs super, super well. And then for the other 3, we're getting into the larger size units. Again, I believe it's $349, I believe, for the Husky. I apologize if I'm wrong already. $379 on the Kobalt and $399 for the Fortress. If you're going to go with a larger unit, guys, I'd go with the Fortress. It's built very well. You saw it's extremely quiet, extremely good performance. That would be my choice. But like I said, I'm keeping the Husky. I'm probably gonna use this in my truck now. The Kobalt's gonna stay in my shop. This is gonna go to my detail shop. The Kobalt's staying here. But really, whatever works for you. This wasn't a video to say one's better than the other. Everyone has their own requirements for what they need. All of these are great units. So I hope that helps you guys. I know there's a lot of information there, so I tried to lay it out as cleanly as possible as I could. So that's it for today's video. Please make sure to like the video, make sure you're subscribed, turn on that notification bell. We'll see you on the next one.